So what I did to kind of give myself these small goals to build the bigger goal was, I remember in college when I really started to take this seriously as a skill set, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and have a new date every week. And I made a promise to myself that I would have a new date every week, and it has to be a new girl. But I remember I asked one of my fraternity brothers, I said, I'm going to keep myself honest, but just so you remember, if I have a week where I don't get a girl, you can paddle me. Okay, man, I had a week without it. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, here you go. I gave him my paddle. He's like, all right. And we had a foosball table, so I bent over the foosball table, tucked my balls, and I took that fucking paddle. So this video is going to be very interesting. This is going to be a challenge video. And the reason that I really want to talk about this is because it can really, really improve your game very, very fast, because you give yourself set concrete goals to work on when it comes to dating. I mean, dating already is a very wild and vague subject because people are very touchy-feely when it comes to the subject of love and being attractive to others. And you already have so much of a barrier when you have to tell people that they have to change and improve themselves, not only externally but internally too, and radically change their personalities. A lot of people just have huge resistance to it because they believe that they're somehow being fraudulent to their old self, which is a silly notion that I've dispelled tons and tons of times. Not worth going into this video, but the short of it is that you're always changing as a person. Your values and your feelings are constantly in flux. So, are you the same person you were 5 years ago? No, you learn so many different things, hopefully, and get new wisdom and feelings. So what's the difference of, changing who you are now in order to get the results that you want with others? You don't have to, as long as you don't betray your integrity and your values of morality, then who are you betraying? This vague, nebulous sense of an identity that isn't even real. Yeah. So a lot of people have a resistance to that. So once you break past that, then you still have a lack of concrete, like, what do you want? Do you know what you want? Well, you might want to get laid a lot, but you think you want a girlfriend. Or you might want a girlfriend, but you think you want to get laid a lot. You need to know what your desires are. And the only way you know is to have a theory and then practice it and see if it brings you the contentment that you thought it would. So one way that I can teach guys to get to their goals quicker is to have concrete goals. Small goals that lead up to your bigger goal. And whether you want a girlfriend or a long-term relationship, it doesn't matter. You still go about it the same way. You go out and you approach a lot of girls and you get dates, and from those dates, you may see casual sex as immoral and somehow blocking your way to a long-term partner. And that's okay, that's fine. Then just go on a lot of dates and you don't need to finish the job. I don't personally think it's a barrier, but you might have that value, and if you do, that's fine. So go out on a bunch of dates and either don't sleep with them or try to sleep with them, and then as you sleep with these girls or don't sleep with them, but you still go on dates and get to know them, eventually your girlfriend is going to be revealed to you. Or if you want to just get laid a bunch, then go on a bunch of dates and sleep with a bunch of girls. Well, what's the common factor in all of those? Dates. You need to actually talk to the girl in a one-on-one setting with a very clear intention of, we're trying to maybe move forward on a romantic or sexual level. So that should be your goal. The sex or the relationships are going to come as a byproduct of good dates. And of course, you need to approach girls, right, first to actually get the dates. This is not about approaching girls so much, right? If you want to learn how to approach girls, you have online dating now. It's the most popular. You have your friend groups. You have bars and clubs. I personally prefer to do day game, where you go out and you just approach girls anywhere, anytime. So you can go on a Saturday, go to the mall, or go, just walk around the center, and, there's a bunch of pretty girls just going about their life. Walk up to them, talk to them for like literally 5 minutes at the max, and tell them they're pretty, talk to them a bit, get to know them. It's a little bit more complicated than that, obviously, but that's the gist of it. Get their number and then set up a date with them over the phone for like the next week. If you want to learn how to do that, I have a course called What She Really Means. That's my texting book, sorry. I also have a texting book, because you're going to need to text most of the time, especially if you're doing online dating. But even if you're doing this, you got to talk to the girl after you get her phone number, right? So I have a texting book in the description below, but I also have a day game course. It's called Meet Girls Everywhere. It's in the name, Meet Girls Everywhere. You can literally meet girls everywhere. And I teach you how to approach girls and have conversations and get their phone numbers and blah, blah, blah. So check that out in the description if you're interested in obviously funneling those girls into your life. But if you want to do online dating or go to bars and clubs, you can do that as well. But the dates need to be your goal, right? Because talking to a girl, getting her phone number, those all are a means to an end to get her on a situation where it's one-on-one and you're getting to know each other and building a connection and seducing each other. So when you have a challenge or a goal in mind, focus on the dates. So what I did to kind of give myself these small goals to build the bigger goal was, I remember in college when I really started to take this seriously as a skill set, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and have a new date every week. And I made a promise to myself that I would have a new date every week. And it has to be a new girl, right? And I don't remember the amount of weeks that I went straight, like my streak, right? My win streak. But I remember I asked one of my fraternity brothers, I said, I'm going to keep myself honest, but just so you remember, if I have a week where I don't get a girl, you can paddle me, because we would buy each other paddles. It was more of like an old tradition, right? We didn't do it as like part of any rituals, right? But it's an old tradition to have a paddle, and you would get a paddle for your sir, which was like the guy who like helped you through pledge season, right? And you would get a paddle with like his name engraved and your name engraved and blah, blah, blah. And even though it wasn't part of our process, we would sometimes get drunk and paddle each other. I know that sounds incredibly, homoerotic, and I suppose it was, but we had fun with it. And, you'd get technique, like you bend over, you got to tuck your balls because you don't want that paddle hitting your balls. And some dudes were good at paddling, and you were like fucking sore, bro. You couldn't walk. And so I told them, I was like, all right, you can paddle me if I go a week without. Some of you watching this would be like, what a homo. I'd be like, hey, whatever. It was fun. So I told Eric, my fraternity brother, I was like, all right, dude, if I don't get a date, for one, or, every week, that week you can paddle me. He forgot about it, of course. But there did come a week where eventually, I don't know if I was drunk or he was drunk, but he was in the fraternity house, and I was just like, hey, man, I had a week without it. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, here you go. I gave him my paddle. He's like, all right. And we had a foosball table, so I bent over the foosball table, tucked my balls, and I took that fucking paddle. He wasn't the best paddler though, so it didn't hurt that bad, but it really fucking hurts because it's a piece of wood on your ass. So, how long did I go? Sorry, these memories are flashing in my mind, kind of funny. I don't remember. It was a long time. I think it might have been like 6-7 months, honestly, of having a date every week. But it's really good because it pushed me, especially when you have a negative that is, you have two types of motivation. You have positive motivations of I want this, and you have negative motivations of I don't want this, right? This will happen if I don't, right? So the getting paddled is whatever. It's a couple minutes of pain, right? And, but it was shame also. But it was also the shame of like, I want to be good at this and I want to push myself. So I'm not going to hold myself back. So I need some sort of challenge. Even though the like external negative motivation is really not that big of a deal, it was the fact that I set myself a challenge. So whatever you can do. I had one client, he was like, for every girl I don't approach. So you can do it for approaches and for dates, right? So I guess we'll go over both, right? Because you do need the approaches to get the dates. And if you're newer, you might need to set an approach goal because you're not good enough to get consistent dates. And I'm not saying you have to do it every week. That's a very extreme, like, that's a decently high level of skill to have a new date every week. Like, it's not a very common thing. A lot of guys would struggle to do that with any level of consistency. So you could set it like every 2 weeks I need to have a date. So you give yourself 14 days or like 3 weeks or a month, right? But that's maybe too much, right? Then you're just losing the point of it. If you're like, I need to have one date every month, that's kind of a silly, that's like, I'm going to do 5 push-ups a day. It's like, all right, So the date challenge, I would have maximum 2 weeks because that's plenty of time. If you're having to go above 2 weeks, then I would switch it to an approach challenge. And that's really easy because it's not about results, it's about attempts, right? Which honestly might be better for most of you. So actually, yeah, the approach challenge will be super, super good, super, super useful, because it just forces the action, and eventually results come. I don't know a lot of guys who have a lot of action and don't get results. It's very, very rare. I only specifically remember one guy who I coached, and he did a fair amount of approaches but saw almost no results. But he had a very, very specific problem that I continued to point out to him, and he still really wouldn't fix it. Not that it would have been an easy thing to fix. It was a difficult problem. It was deep down inside on his attitude towards women and his attitude towards himself. And you could just see on his face, because we do video chats, and I could just see the way that he comes off, and I'm just like, yeah, dude, I know exactly why you're having trouble. But I don't think he ever properly focused on it. I hope he has. I haven't heard from him for a while, but I hope he's doing well. But it was a very stubborn problem. But I think if he would have rooted that out, it would have just like exploded and he would have got results. But for most guys, right, for the vast majority of guys, if they just do it enough, they're going to get results, right? And even him, I think he got a few phone numbers, you know. I can't recall if he had any. I think he had a few planned dates, but I think they flaked. But he at least got a few phone numbers, right? Which is a victory, right? So I guess he didn't get no results. But I just consider a date like the real result, right? Phone numbers, those are dime a dozen. A text back, it's a dime a dozen. But the actual, she fucking showed up on a date with you, took time out of her life to show up and have a coffee with you or a drink with you, that's a pretty good sign. So go out and just do approaches. So you can say, you know, I'm going to do 5 approaches a week. I think that should be the bare minimum, 5 approaches a week. If you're doing any less than that, you're probably not going to be getting, in the beginning, you just got to pump action. You just got to pump action. Even if like it seems totally rote and useless, you just got to pump action. Once you get some, you know, once you've slept with a dozen girls or a couple dozen girls, you know, you don't necessarily need to, it's still good to keep yourself honest and keep approaching, but you can be a bit more selective. You kind of know what to look for. You know, just doing mass approaches isn't going to work. You know when you like a girl and you know when a girl likes you, and so you can be much more selective, okay? But most people watching this are beginners, so you just need to pump yourself with action. And you only have to do this action up until the point you get the results you want. Not every guy needs to have a new date every week, right? That was an extreme challenge, but I had extreme ambitions. I wanted this to become something I'm a master at, and I succeeded. I put in the work. I've done like definitely over 10,000 approaches, probably approaching 15,000. Fucking seriously, like I've approached over 10,000 women. Absolutely guarantee it, 100%. So, are you willing to put in that much work? Well, probably not, and it's okay. Like it's like I want to be an Olympic wrestler, and I just want to win a few matches, right? Or I want to be a world-class billiards pool player, or competitive Dota player, whatever it is, right? And then I just want to make it to this rank, or I just want to be kind of good. Most guys find a pretty girl, have a girlfriend, get married, have some kids, totally okay. You don't need to be some super fucking ambitious guy, pimp, playboy. It sounds cool, and I'm sure a lot of guys would enjoy it. It's not as glamorous as you think it is. Well, there's some parts that are amazing about it that you didn't know, and there's some parts that you expected to be amazing that actually weren't the amazing parts. It's a very interesting. I mean, I'm glad I went down this journey. It's really, really amazing. It's the freedom. That's the best part. Like, I literally don't have any hang-ups about women. Like, I've gotten rid of like 99% of any bitterness, any regrets, any like. The only thing I occasionally deal with is like, of course, the lust itself, right? Just I want to fuck a new girl, but that's an infinite treadmill of hedonism, right? I've learned that it doesn't matter if I fuck 15,000 girls, I'm gonna want to fuck 15,001, right? So I've seen the heights of hedonism, and I know that I don't need to go down that road anymore, right? So I've kind of pulled back a lot of my lust and desire, but I understand you can't play me for a fool anymore. I know what a good woman is, right? Anyways, we're turning this into a wholly different video, but freedom in knowledge. I know so much that I have become free through knowledge. But you don't necessarily need to go down that road, right? You can just get the bare amount of knowledge to know that you won't get fucked over, right? And to just have, not be upset with women and just enjoy women for who they are. So set a challenge for yourself. and either an approach challenge or a, did I even finish that example? I feel like I digressed. Where I had a client promise me, if I don't approach a girl, I'm going to pay you money. I just realized I maybe didn't finish that story. God, I digress so hard. I rabbit hole and wormhole so easily. But I had this client tell me, if I don't approach a girl, like he sees a girl and he wants to approach, but he doesn't, every time that happens, he's going to give me a certain amount of money. I don't remember. But it was like a year later, he was just randomly, hey man, I sent you the money from this year of like challenges. The dude sent me like $1,000. Like I remember just sitting there like playing games on, blah, 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 sitting in my room. And then I just go, oh, really? I assumed it was going to be like $100. I was like, hey, that's cool. Because I had totally forgotten about the challenge. Just like my fraternity brother forgot about the paddle. And I just looked at my account and it's just like on PayPal. And it's just like $1,000. It's like, holy shit, So I was really grateful for that. And I'm sure it helped him because it kept him honest, right? So have an approach challenge. Like I'm going to approach 5 girls a week, right? Or I'm going to try and get a date every week if you really want. Like, it's very difficult. Like, set a realistic challenge because it sucks to set a challenge for yourself that you're definitely not going to meet, and then you get burnt out and disappointed, and then you end up doing nothing. There's no good in that. I'd rather you set your bar low and succeed. Set your bar low, set your bar low, set your bar low, set your bar low, and then boom. But the approach one is very easy. You just have to try. And I guarantee results at some point. It might take you 100 approaches to get your first date. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your problems are, but like you will get results eventually. Because that guy that I told you, even when he didn't get results, he did slow down. So he got somewhere around 100 approaches and he got a few phone numbers, and I don't know if he got any actual dates. But then he eventually gave up. And I would ask him every couple months, like, hey, when's the last time you did an approach? He's like, well, it's been a few months. And I was like, see, you might have been just around the corner from fucking success, but you gave up. So anyways, set yourself a challenge and then I would suggest one positive motivation and a negative motivation, right? So because negative motivations can be sometimes too negative, right? So negative motivation would be, I'm going to give my friend $1 for, whatever. It can be anytime I don't approach a girl, I'm going to give my friend $1. Or I'm going to put this $1 into a jar and I have to give this money away to charity. Like, you can get fucking creative, right? You don't have to give it, you can just give it to a good cause, right? So that would be a negative motivation, but also a positive motivation. You're losing the money, but you're giving it away. So you're not really losing it. But positive motivations would be like, find a picture of like your dream girl and put her on your phone. Like, what's the kind of body that she has? What color hair does she have? Like, whatever. You don't have to actually end up with her, but it can just serve as a freaking, as a motivation, positive motivation. Just every time you get rejected, be like, wait, this is my goal. I want to end up with a girl who looks like this. And of course has traits, it's not just her looks, but, we're honest. We want a girl who looks good. So I want this in her. I want this in her. I want her to be this way, So set these positive motivations of what you want. What's your goal? Who do you want to become? That's a positive motivation. So set a challenge and then use these motivations and you're going to get results. I promise. But you got to do the work. You got to do the work. You can sit here and watch all the videos and be like, oh my God, what he said makes so much sense. But if at the end of the day, you don't get your ass moving and go out and talk to girls, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to make it anywhere. So go out and make your reality a fucking reality. Okay. That was supposed to be inspirational, but I don't think it quite drove through as much as I was hoping. Anyways, whatever. Fuck it. I'm Hector Castillo, girlschase.com. If you want to buy all my shit, in the description below, then buy it. It'll help you. It'll give you the info. I have a texting book, like I said. I have a college book in there. It has great stories, even if you're not in college. And it also teaches a lot about reputation and reputation management and gossip and friend groups and da-da-da-da-da. And then I have that course on approaching girls, meet girls everywhere. And then I also have private coaching if you really want to sign up for that. That's expensive. It's like $2,000 on the low end, $4,000 on the high end. Or like $500 even if it's just for 1 hour. It's expensive, I know, so just be alert that that's the price tag. But if you really want to learn from me one-on-one, we talk like this, but it's just me and you, and it's personalized, tailored coaching, then you get what you pay for, right? If you put in a lot of effort, you get a lot of results. If you put in a lot of money, you get a lot of value. That's how the world works. So yeah, give me all your money, buy my shit so that I can help you get the life that you want and make your desired reality a reality. There we go. Got it. All right. Love you. Ciao. Go fuck yourself.